Spider-Man 2002 is the first ever Spider-Man movie that brings our friendly neighborhood superhero to life. It was released officially in the US on May 3rd, 2002, and it had a promo run just like any other movie with trailers, press conferences, interviews, and etc. However, 2 weeks before the movie dropped, there was a movie licensed video game to also help promote it. On April 16th, 2002, Spider-Man the movie video game was released on PS2, Xbox, GameCube, Game Boy Advance, and PC in North America. Now, video game adaptations and movie licensed video games are known to either be hit or miss, but when a Spider-Man does whatever a spider can, it might not be that bad. Let's check it out here 20 years later. Damn, go, glah, boom! So this Spider-Man game was actually developed by Treyarch, believe it or not, and published by Activision. This was back in the 2000s and early 2010s when Activision was still the main publisher for these Spider-Man games. Spider-Man 2002, of course, is an action-adventure game, somewhat based off of the first Spider-Man film. What a surprise. It starts off by skipping pretty much all of the build-up for Peter Parker or Tobey Maguire, and straight to when he is named Spider-Man in his fight with Bonesaw. Fun fact, the ring announcer, aka Bruce Campbell, is the tutorial and help narrator for this game, which I thought was pretty fitting.
Greetings, welcome to the tutorial. Yeah, I know, you want to get on with things, beat up the bad guys, do the whole superhero thing.
After winning his wrestling match by defeating Bonesaw, Peter, aka the Human Spider, which is Spider-Man, attempts to collect his full reward from the fight promoter only to technically get scammed. Walking away a few $1,000s short of his reward, Spider-Man witnesses the fight promoter himself that just did him dirty getting robbed. Spider-Man doesn't stop the robber and instead minds his own business because of bad business. And just like that, the robber gets away and boom, you guessed it, Uncle Ben gets killed moments later. And with great power, you are now in control of Spider-Man, looking for who is responsible for killing your Uncle Ben. Now let's talk about this gameplay. One of the main things in a Spider-Man game is going to be the web swinging. In this game, it wasn't that great, but that is of course replaying it in today's times when we have something like Insomniac's version of Spider-Man to look back at and see how they've perfected it. But it is definitely still playable though, and the only thing I really found frustrating in this game is controlling the camera. For some reason, in a lot of throwback games, a lot of developers make it a puzzle to keep a good camera angle. It isn't really a big deal though when it comes to combat because they luckily have a lock-on feature when you're fighting like enemies, but it only really starts to get overwhelming if there's a large group of enemies that you're fighting. But since we are on combat, I would like to say that it is a little unresponsive, but once you get used to it, some of the moves you can do are pretty cool. To unlock moves, you have to collect them throughout the different levels that you play in the game, and once you collect it, it'll be a part of your move list that you can check in the pause menu if you ever forget how to do it. Now, if you played Mortal Kombat before, you know how useful that move list is when you need to pull something together real quick to cheese your enemies. In this game, not only do you fight Green Goblin multiple times, they also throw in other Spider-Man villains like the Shocker, Vulture, Scorpion, and apparently Kraven the Hunter, but that is only on the Xbox and Game Boy Advance version of the game. I unfortunately played the PS2 version, so I didn't get to experience fighting Kraven myself, but the boss fights that I did play were okay for the most part. My favorite ones were fighting Uncle Ben's killer. That was the first one in the game. The Shocker boss fight was kind of cool, and then all of the Green Goblin fights, of course, that was the highlight of the game to me. They weren't really that challenging either, by the way, at least on normal difficulty. Once you find out those 1 or 2 moves that work against them, it might take you 1 or 2 tries to defeat them at most. If anything, you might do it on the first try like I did a few times. But a lot of the time you can use your environment to your advantage and throw like objects you see around, like explosive barrels, tires, toolboxes, to make the fights easier. The level design was okay for the most part, but the only level I truly hated with my entire soul was the Oscorp building. If you played this game, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because you had to play stealthy for almost the entire level, and if you get spotted by a guard, overpowered robots come out of nowhere and would hunt you down and blow you up. Pause. The combination of bad camera angles, unresponsive controls, and an unforgiving detection system makes this level my least favorite out of the entire game. I don't hate any other level in a game in recent memory besides this one. You would think in a stealth section for a Spider-Man game they would let you have a stealth takedown, but that is nowhere to be found in this game. Another honorable mention for a frustrating environment, or I guess a dishonorable mention, would be the tower that you have to climb to get to Vulture. That level, climbing that tower, you have to go through a whole bunch of different traps. It's a whole maze to get up to this man, and at the end of it, when you make it to him, he just runs out of glass that's at the top of the tower. So if you really think about it, Spider-Man could have just went to the top of the tower, kicked in the glass, and he would have been right where Vulture was at. But otherwise, the compass in the bottom right in this game pretty much leads you to your destination most of the time, and it shows you how high or low up or low down the objective is. I still prefer a mini-map system, but I was able to navigate with this too. And just like a lot of the early 2000s games, man, this game does not have any checkpoints. To beat a level, you have to complete the objective and stay alive all the way through. And if you don't do that, you have to restart from the beginning of the level if you mess up. Finding health or web ammo really isn't that, challenging, but there are certain sections that are timed, and they also have chase sections in this game that are kind of irritating. They don't really give you enough time for anything. And like I said before, those bad camera angles and unresponsive controls will make your life that much harder. On a more positive note for this game, the soundtrack is fire. Even the main menu theme, every time you boot up the game, I was just straight up jamming every time I heard it.
That's called motherfucking bars!
The voice acting though is definitely more on the silly side, besides Green Goblin, because William Dafoe is just, he's built different. It does fit the game though, so don't take that as a bad thing. I even had one of Tobey Maguire's voice lines glitch, and it was just hilarious.
Are you after me too?
Running through the sewer? Running through the sewer? Running through the sewer? Running through the sewer?
A big thing that I did love about this game were the cheat codes, man. I don't know why most modern games don't have them anymore, but in this game it was a lot of fun to mess around with it. You can pretty much play as almost any character in the game if you enter in their unique cheat code, which means you can play as Shocker and you can fight Shocker at the same time. There's a secret store feature in this game which can be used to unlock different characters and outfits as well. You can literally play as Green Goblin with his glider, unique controls and everything, compared to Spider-Man that you play as in this game, if you beat the game on hero difficulty or superhero difficulty. Now, if you enter a cheat code to skip to the end, you can pretty much do that easily. But there is your classic big-headed enemy cheat code. You can unlock secret levels. There's a bowling level where Spider-Man is the bowling ball and your enemies are the pins. There's even unique commentary that you'll hear in the bowling alley while you're playing this, I guess, secret level, which I thought was pretty dope.
Ball return on lane 3 is out of order. Pin setter on lane 7 is out of order. This whole bowling alley is out of order. You're out of order!
I beg your pardon?
Overall, I would say I had my fun with this game here in 2022. It is definitely a decent starting point for the Spider-Man movie licensed video games, but I wouldn't go as far as calling it a great game, but I did have, like I said, good fun with it. I recommend it if you are already a Spider-Man fan that hasn't played this game before. And if you're interested in seeing my full playthrough of this game, I uploaded it on my second YouTube channel, which is called LoneWolfXP 2. If you did enjoy the video, make sure you guys show some support in the comments, and I'll do one on Spider-Man 2, the video game, next. Also, let me know in the comment section, what is your favorite thing about this game, assuming you have played it if you're watching this video. For me, just fighting Green Goblin was my main entertainment. Even when I fought him as him, it just made it that much better. But that's gonna wrap up the video for me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Peace.
Running through the sewer?